Welcome, it's Denome, and welcome to this market update. And today we have an interesting one because a lot of things happened last week that were, let's say, not so good for Bitcoin. And the first thing is obviously that last week I predicted that Bitcoin will go to all-time highs, but this trend line got broken here, so we can take this out. So now my expectation is that we have to basically reach a new all-time high within this month, within June. And as you can see from the bottom, there's this trend line here that stretches all the way back to October 2023. And this trend line has to hold because as you can see from previous bull runs, we had this trend line here. And once that got broken to the downside, that's when the bull market actually ended. And the same thing here, the same thing here as well. So this trend line has to hold. If this goes to the downside, that's when I will flip bearish because I expect some violent move to the downside after it breaks to the downside. But it doesn't mean that it will be just a complete bear market after that. It could simply be similar like we had here, where we had like a short bear market and then we had the true bull market afterwards. So it could be that we have some consolidation if we go below this trend line here, maybe for a year or so, and then we make a new base, a new trend, and then we push for new all-time highs once again. So I don't currently expect Bitcoin to go lower than, 48K is the first support, but 40K is basically where I don't expect price to go below 40K, just because we have the ETFs now, and we have all this turmoil in the world where you cannot really trust the currencies the same way as you used to trust the currencies. Your bank accounts can get frozen now. Obviously, there's some wars going on, so we're expecting money printers to go back online. And well, there was a couple of things last week, like Biden, he actually canceled the pro crypto bill, which would have allowed more institutions to hold Bitcoin and offer Bitcoin holding as a service. But that got canceled. It got vetoed by the President Biden. So there's that. Also, the pro-crypto president Trump, he got convicted of some charges, which personally, I don't think they had any base in those, but that's just my take there. But he got convicted, so there was that turmoil there. So I think those are the reasons why Bitcoin didn't push for new all-time highs. If the pro-crypto bill would have passed, I think we would have went to all-time highs as well. But since President Biden vetoed it, I think we are here where we are. But all of these things don't still mean that we are in the bear market. We could still push for new all-time highs here. We still have the runaway until the end of June, basically. And in the short term, you can see that we are basically in this triangle formation. So if this breaks to the upside, that's very good, obviously. If it breaks to the downside, we still have this support below here as well. So currently, I'm not worried, even though my prediction was wrong. So this is basically my technical analysis. But when we take a look at the other things that have happened, let's actually take a look at Bitcoin holdings held by ETFs. So as you can see right now, we are pushing for new highs here. This was the all-time high on March 19th, where there was 1,092,000 Bitcoin held by ETFs. But now the moving average is higher than it ever has been, but the actual amount is still not at all-time highs. But we can see accumulation, even though there's some scary things going on in the markets and some things that weren't pro-crypto got cancelled. We're still pushing, we're still seeing accumulation here. But at the same time, when we actually go over to Santiment and we take a look at what whales have been doing, it's not great, to be honest. But first good thing is that the supply on exchanges just keeps going lower and lower. So this means people want to hold Bitcoin rather than trade it. But this is the important number here, this one. So obviously it's good, this orange line where we can see the total amount of Bitcoin holders. This is going for new all-time highs once again. So we are seeing that people want to hold Bitcoin, even though all of these, let's say, scary things are happening in the market. So this is very, very good. But what is not good is, let me zoom a little bit closer. You can see these wallets have sold a lot of Bitcoin. So what are these wallets? This pink These are wallets that have 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin inside them. So this has just, let's say, crashed a lot, because this number used to be 2030 wallets that had more than 1,002 Bitcoin basically. And that crashed to 1,965. So it dropped by about 70, and now we're looking at about 63 wallets that have disappeared that had 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin. So I think this coincided with the Mt. Gox situation. So Mt. Gox, it was a failed exchange from 2014, and they still hold 140 to 200,000 Bitcoin inside their wallets, and they were moving some money around. So I think it's coinciding with that. But what's a little bit worrying to me is that when we take a look at even smaller wallets, like 100 to 1,000 coin wallets, even those have been dropping, and 10 to 100 coin wallets have also been dropping. So who has been buying Bitcoin is, not really even 1 to 10 Bitcoin wallets. We have to go even smaller than that. So 0.1 to 1 Bitcoin wallets have been growing. So this is a little bit scary to me, because usually when you see, let's say, big money selling, that's not a great sign. That when whales are selling, basically, that's not a great sign. And if retail keeps buying, obviously the price will remain the same. So this is getting me worried, to be honest. I don't like this. And other than that, here we can see a massive spike of wallets that held Bitcoin for more than 1 year. Take a look at this orange spike here, and let's actually take it into consideration. How big was it? It's not that big, but you can see when we had a spike here as well, that was the peak of the market as well. Actually, that was ETH wallets, ethereum wallets. Let's see where we had. Okay, this was the Bitcoin wallet. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong chart. And let me actually hide the velocity. It's not that interesting right now. What we are interested in, the green line is the price line, and then we have the wallets that have held Bitcoin for more than 3 years, have held Bitcoin more than 1 year. This spiked to basically an all-time high here. So was it probably not an all-time high, to be honest. Yeah, it's just a local high. So this could be the absolute top here. So this is a little bit worrying. Obviously, it's the money that Mt. Gox was moving around, because that wallet wasn't moved for 5 years. But the deadline to actually for Mt. Gox to release the 140 to 200,000 Bitcoin is October 31st. So for 10 years, they have been pushing that deadline further and further and further. So let's see if they actually implement that this year. But this is a top signal here as well. So this is worrying to me right now. So right now I'm just looking very closely what is happening with these trend lines here, because as of now we are still inside this channel here. We are seeing accumulation by ETFs, but as you can see, on-chain holding have been falling by whales, small whales, and I guess you can call them dolphin wallets or whatever, but small wallets have been accumulating Bitcoin. So that's my analysis for this week. So a little bit scary, not as good as before, but we have some, let's say, signs of hope still. So even though, again, I have to emphasize, even though we fall below this, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin crashes to 20K or 30K. I think 40K is the absolute bottom, because that's when the ETFs were launched, and that's where I will imagine a lot of institutional investors will come in if this happens. And when we take a look at the global liquidity, we were looking at this before as well. You can see that this runaway is basically until the end of at the end of August. So if this breaks to the downside, then I will expect some sort of like a market-wide crash and a market meltdown basically. But if this breaks to the upside, I'm expecting that's when Bitcoin should go up as well. But and this basically means that money printers are in full swing once again. But markets could crash because this is politics. We don't know what the politicians decide to do. So just an interesting observation, and this should go to the upside for Bitcoin to reach the massive numbers that we wanted to actually reach again. So that's my take, my analysis for this Monday, and thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.